So I'm wondering if I should share something with you that I found very, very true. 11 assumptions about the future. And it's from Doug Casey. And I don't want to bum you out. It's on a Monday. But I think I included it in today's show prep at glennbeck.com because I think it's really important, because I think it is true. And the reason why I say these things, because there's a lot of people who listen to this program and you're like, I know, it's coming, right? I know. Yeah. If you ever hear me say, I'm going to the mountain and I probably won't be back, well, then you know. But it's coming. And here's what's coming. Change. That's it. Change. Everything in life changes. We're under constant change. The America that was 100 years ago has changed so many times. The people, I think if we had a time machine, people from 100 years ago would come here and they would say, I don't want to live there. And we would go back to their time and say, I really don't want to live back here. We're all born for a specific time, and now is our time. And change is coming. Now, this is, I would classify it as catastrophic change, not because it's all bad. It could be really, really great. We're not headed towards the great basket right now. We're headed towards the other basket, catastrophic basket. And that's a choice that we all have to make. But the biggest problem with this is the politicos have done such a good job in dividing all of us. And I would put myself in this category too. I've had my share of dividing people, and it has been
you? You think you're divisive in some way? I've never heard such a claim.
Well, not intentionally, but in today's world, just telling the truth or,
that's plenty.
That's plenty. Just telling the truth is enough. And we have to get past that, because when I'm looking at these things, I think if people could just wake up, we could fix this. Now, Doug Casey has Doug Casey's take on podcasts, but I want you to listen to what he says is coming. Here are the 11 assumptions that I'm using today to guide my actions. 1, less freedom of movement is coming. There will be more effort to restrict and regulate our freedom of movement, from vax passports to increased visa requirements and 15-minute city initiatives. The grid is being constructed to regulate our freedom of movement. That is absolutely true. And if you read Dark Future, you'll know it to be true, because we outline it. These are not conspiracy theories. These are facts that are also conspiracies. Conspiracy just means there are people plotting and trying to cover their tracks and trying to deny, to throw people off their trail. Well, they're not even denying. They're just using the media to say, conspiracy theory. And then they do it anyway. For instance, the gas stoves. Do you know that every single appliance, and you can read about it in today's show prep at glennbeck.com. Get my show prep, because I can only get to about, maybe, 10% of the stories. Get my show prep every day. It is so critical that you read that. It's free at glennbeck.com. But these are things that every time they say it's a conspiracy, they throw you off the trail. They divide us even further. And then what happens? They just do it because it's too late. Second, CBDC is coming. Cash will be eliminated. How restrictive it may end up being, I don't know, but CBDC is a foregone conclusion. Timing, some say by 2030. There are indications that major economies are working to be ready to deploy by 2025. The digital ID is already here as number 3. Biometrics are the future. If you have a government-issued ID associated with your photograph, you are in the system already. How the ID is developed and deployed and enforced is the question. Number 4, the Greater Depression. Timing is hard, but can any thinking person imagine how the outcome can be avoided altogether? Simon Hunt suggests a market pullback of up to 30% between now and early 2024. Okay, this I've heard from several people, 30% pullback. That's the stock market falling 30%. And everyone I've talked to, and I don't know about stock markets, and I hate the stock market, but anyway, everybody I've talked to said that about 30%, if not more, is coming, and we might already be in it. It will be followed by a pump and deflationary wipeout in 2025. Most financial assets, number 5, will disappear at some point. Inflation, bank bail-in, market wipeout. I don't know the cause, but I assume physical assets are where I need to be ultimately. This is important for you to understand that land, your home, anything physical, any gold, silver, food, seeds, anything physical is important. Anything that is money, you can bury it all you want. It will slip through your fingers because that's all going to be taken. Debt is going to be a real problem when the banks start to collapse. They'll just start seizing assets. 6, increasing crime and disorder. You've seen the videos, whether driven by economic desperation, mass migration, the inversion of law, or in the name of social justice. Crime and disorder will grow and lead to greater physical threats to our lives and property from our fellow man. This makes urban environments especially, but not exclusively, a real risk. Absolutely true. How many times do I tell you a week, Stu? You really don't want to be near the city. You really don't want to be near Dallas.
You do mention it to me a lot.
A lot. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be near the cities. Number 7, supply constraints are increasing around all commodities, from food to energy. Did you see the story in the show prep today, Stu, about what he's done with what Biden has just done with oil and gas? He's passed the toughest standards on drilling and finding natural gas in the history of America. He is shutting it down. From food to energy, tight supplies are showing up everywhere. Live cattle, long dormant, hit an all-time high recently. Oil prices are up 30% in the last 3 months. 40% of Argentina's wheat crop is in poor to fair condition, and protectionist policies are on the rise globally. 8, World War III is coming. A good case can be made that it's already begun. I don't know if you saw this. This is also in the show prep today. The Army War College recently published a study suggesting that the all-volunteer force had reached the end of its useful life. With the military struggling with recruiting, conscription is likely at some point. I don't know if you saw this, also in the show prep. Russia is holding, for the first time ever, let me see if I can find this. Russia is set to hold a nationwide exercise early next month, according to new reports, in preparation for the danger of armed conflicts involving nuclear weapons. Russian authorities will hold a large-scale drill across the country on October 3rd. Is that tomorrow or is that today? That's tomorrow. Because of the growing danger of armed conflicts, including with nuclear-capable powers near Russia's borders. The drill is the first time that Moscow has held such a drill, which will imagine that Russia is at least partially under martial law and that up to 70% of the country's housing facilities have been destroyed. That's what they're preparing for. Now, we're saying, well, what are we? Yeah, we should go to war because my party says we should go to war. Have you noticed, by the way, that is something that the parties are saying, but the American people are not. If you look at the latest poll numbers, it is showing that the American people are not in step with the parties. It's the parties that are pushing for war. The average American is saying, I don't want to go to war. I have no desire to go to war. I don't think we should even be there.
I mean, the parties are not outwardly saying that, but their actions are taking us down that road.
Definitely.
And the American people are now getting to the point where they're opposing even the funding of the war effort in Ukraine. Republicans are already there. Independents are getting closer. Democrats still at a very low level of opposition to it, but rising.
And look at this. Conscription is likely at some point. That means if they missed your child in school, they'll indoctrinate them in the military. I mean, the military, even with everything that's coming up, the military is still saying, no, abortion and DEI, much more important than, that's going to kill us. I'll tell you that. Stopping those programs.
That's the type of thing, though, an election can solve, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Having a Republican president that made some sense could put an end to that quickly.
A change in our policies, less freedom of movement, number one, goes away. CBDC, you already have DeSantis saying day one, no CBDC. The digital ID, that can be stopped with an election. The Greater Depression, maybe not if we don't turn this around quickly. Financial assets will disappear at some point. Maybe, maybe not. Increasing crime and disorder, that can be changed. Supply constraints, increasing around all commodities. Oil, that can change. Food, that can change. World War III is coming, that can change. Censorship and digital control will enter a new phase. Deplatforming, debanking, shadow banning, and social media account suspensions will increase. Centralized digital services of all kinds should be considered suspect and very likely dangerous to use in the future. Wow. By the way, I keep saying this, but in today's newsletter, there's a story about Canada. Trudeau is now pushing to regulate all podcasts. They have tight regulation for all broadcast. There are things that you just can and cannot do in Canada. You notice they don't have talk radio in Canada. Not like this. It's not popular. Anytime they try it, because you have to balance it. So it's all milquetoast awful. And it's tightly regulated to the point to where the Blaze, which is here in America, our sister, I mean, we're not actually sisters, but our sister news outlet up there is Rebel News. And they have had trouble with the government over and over and over and over again, and they won't shut up. And they're not radical. They just believe in freedom of speech. Number 10, the U.S. election, regardless of the outcome, is an inflection point and potentially a flashpoint. I want to take a quick 1-minute break and come back to that one. So number 10 on this list is the U.S. election, regardless of the outcome, is an inflection point and potentially a flashpoint. If, the writer writes, if that happens, the outcome will not be accepted by half of the country. We can be sure that running up to and shortly after the election, things could get wild. In advance of the 2020 election, we had COVID and BLM. Shortly after, January 6th and state overreach. What will 2024 bring? I think this is something that we need to begin to talk about because I think everybody knows it. We just don't talk about it. I think everybody fears that if Donald Trump or whoever is the GOP candidate wins, the left will scream that it was stolen and they'll be in the streets for every cut and everything that happens.
Is there any doubt about that?
None.
I mean, the last two elections have been this scenario where half the country says
it's a fake.
It's fake.
Yeah.
Last two.
Yeah.
And I don't see there's any possibility of this one, unless you had some Reagan-esque landslide. Maybe you have a chance.
If Donald Trump doesn't win, does anyone believe that there aren't a lot of people that, and I would seriously question the election, even, I don't care who wins. I haven't seen anyone do anything of significance in the states that are the swing states. All of the states that Donald Trump lost last time because they stopped counting. Okay, I don't know what that was. I haven't seen anybody actually really look into it with any credibility. So I don't feel confident. Now those states, they have either enhanced those laws or strengthened those laws to give us the same kind of election we had last time.
You can make that argument with some of those states. I think some states haven't. I think, like, for example, Georgia's improved their laws. There's been some that have done it. But again, here's the thing, Glenn. I don't think anyone actually is going to be looking at, well, let me bring the evidence to me.
No.
Place it out in front of me. Let's have a real discussion about what happened. People just feel. They feel it. And Correct. It doesn't matter if it's honestly true or not. The problem with the system is that everyone feels like we're in this state of constant chaos and nothing's real.
Correct.
And I guarantee you, if Donald Trump wins the election, the other side is going to claim fraud. And if Joe Biden wins, then the Republican side's going to claim fraud. It's just going to happen. It's just part of our landscape right now.
And then final point from Doug Casey is 11. There is a war happening today. It's a war on us. For most of this cycle, they will rely on the same approach. If and when we see a move toward a kinetic force, we should be alarmed because we've entered a new phase and a more dangerous phase. It's out of your control, but your life is not.
The Glenn Beck Program.
Fix your life. Get that at glennbeck.com. We'll send you the link today's show prep.